Welcome to Backyard Bows. Hey, welcome to Backyard Bows. I'm Brandon. We got the Carbon One. What a year for Bowtech. I loved every bow from Bowtech this year. The SR 350, man, what an incredible speed bow. The Solution SS was probably one of my favorite bows I put my hand on this year. I put it in the field. Unbelievably comfortably smooth, a really nice bow to climb into a tight space or tree stand with. I loved that. I even let a worker of mine kind of practice with it in the backyard, and then eventually I kind of put him in the field and he got his first buck with that Solution SS, something that was just really easy to pick up and shoot right off of the bat. And that was one of the first bows he's ever shot. So, and then I had another friend, really short stature, really small draw length. He was a Hoyt guy. Nothing was really fitting him really comfortably, he said. And finally I got him to try a CP28 and he couldn't believe the difference. So if you have not shot a Bowtech, go shoot one. You know, there's still some people out there that haven't heard of Bowtech. You know, they get so fixated on one or two different companies that they don't ever kind of broad out there. And man, Bowtech is an exceptional company. There's three things I love about Bowtech. One, their customer service. You can call their Bowtech, their pro shop, their customer service. They will answer all your questions. And you can tell that they're just excited about bows, and the person on the other side of that phone call is just enthused. They're just fun to talk to. Really easy to talk to. All of them seem to have a lot of knowledge of their product. They have great customer service. Second thing, everything's made inside house, including this carbon bow. So, you know, PSE and Hoyt, they both use the same company and it's outsourced. Bowtech made in-house their first carbon bow ever, and I'm gonna tell you, I think they did in 1 year what some companies have been trying to do for like 10 years. You know, and I love that it's made here in the United States and it's all made in-house. Man, I love that. I think that's a big bonus for me. And then two, Bowtech, again, across the board, usually companies have like one bow that's extremely smooth drawing. Bowtech, every single bow from Bowtech, they are the smoothest drawing bows. I don't know how Bowtech does it. And you're probably like, man, he's a rep for Bowtech. I'm not. I'm a consumer. I don't work for Bowtech. They haven't even sent me one bow for free. Where some companies are starting to send us stuff, Bowtech hasn't sent me anything. I purchased every bow and I've shot a lot of them. I've used a lot of them in the field, and man, they are just some incredible bows. Every single one I pick up, I love more and more and more. So now, their first, what I would say a flagship carbon bow, they came out with, the Carbon One. Really unique design, something we see a little bit different. I love that they're trying to kind of separate themselves from everything else. You know, and they've always had their carbon bow, which has pretty much been the same bow for the past 10 years that they've named different things. I mean, and that's just the truth. It's the same bow. And I'm not even sure if it's 100% carbon bow. It's always been, you know, really inexpensive, and they're trying to allow, you know, everybody to be able to have a chance at a carbon bow. So I don't know what corners they've cut or what they did to get that bow at the price they did, but it always seemed a little bit lesser of quality than some of the other ones we've seen. But now we got this one. They still have what they call today the Carbon Zion, and they've called it different things for so many years, but now they have this Carbon One. So man, this bow, let's dive in. So let's, first specs, 30 inches axle to axle, 6.6 on the brace height, which is kind of that perfect right under 7-inch brace height, nice and forgiving, but still can kind of pack a punch. You got 4.5 pounds, more around 5 pounds, dressed up just like this, no quiver, it's actually at 7 pounds. 50, 60, 70 pound limb options with a 10 pound fluctuation. This one is a 70 pound, but it's actually at 68.3. And that's on my, you know, the little reader I've used outside, and maybe it's time for a new one, I don't know, but that's what I got. It also is holding at like 3.8. So it's like a 95% almost, you know, let off. Again, I don't know if it's broken or if that's accurate, but that's what I'm getting, and I'm just kind of giving you that feedback. 335 on the IBO, draw length fluctuates from 30.5 down to 25.5. And honestly, when we do the freestyle shoot, I'm gonna set this on 30.5. which is the longest draw length I've set on any bow yet. And last week I mentioned that it varies from company to company. Some companies I kind of lose a ½ inch, some companies I gain a ½ inch, but you know, me setting the bow on 30 inches on every company, it's not the most comfortable fit. So sometimes you kind of got to have a little wiggle room. But the riser, I think one of the reasons it does weigh a little bit more than what they're, what we're seeing in other carbon bows is because it's not from limb to limb a complete riser bow. You have these really large limb pockets, which I actually love. You can tell that they're probably one of the most secure limb pockets you can get. They have the piece that comes off the back where you can add these orbit dampeners, or down low maybe a back bar stabilizer, but that probably adds a little bit of weight to it as well. Speaking of those orbit dampeners, man, these are my favorite dampeners across the board. Anywhere on a Bowtech bow where you get that bored out hole, you can add dampeners. So especially on this particular bow on the Carbon 1, they have this spot for your integrated quiver mount, and you can add a dampener right here on the middle of it. You can do that top and bottom. It only came with 2, so I actually took the bottom one and put it down here on that limb pocket down below. But anywhere on these bows, and on the Solution SS, the SR350, some of those bows that I reviewed earlier, anywhere where there was a bored hole, you can add and take off those orbit dampeners, or buy and add more if you want to, which I love. I love that you can kind of place them and get your bow customized to you and the feel that you like. So I love their grips. They've grown on me more and more. I think the SR350, it was a little slimmer than I was usually used to, or than I had been more familiar with. So, but I think from then until now, they've grown on me, and again, that's all preference. Some people like their grips really thin. I understand the science kind of behind that, and then some people like that molded grip to your hand. All preference, whatever feels comfortable to you. I actually like these grips. They've grown on me more and more. They got their string stop, which is kind of their basic string stop. They have a little dampener at the back of it. I think that's one of the best placed dampeners on a bow. I don't know why every company doesn't put, a little dampener here at the back of that. And then they have this mount, which kind of goes right onto the Carbon bow, and it has your integrated rest, where you can put a rest on the back side of this. It has your cable guard, which I love their cable guard. It has that natural flex to those cables, and also has a dampener on it, which makes sense. And then it has 2 different mounting bolts for your rest, and that kind of goes right on, that side plate goes right on the side of that Carbon. And then again, at the top, you have this 2-piece integrated, quiver for those of you who like 2-piece quiver sets. I like that, so because again, that kind of caters to different hunters. Man, there's so many different accessories out there, and they're starting to realize that and make bows accessible to more different accessories. And then again, here at the top, you have this piece that comes off of that limb pocket. It has 3 different holes. You can put more of those orbit dampeners if you'd like. New cam, you can tell by it, just by looking at cams nowadays, I can tell you if they're gonna be smooth. This is gonna be a super smooth cam. I like it, it's a little bit smaller. Again, you have those 3 bolts, which you can rotate your flip disc mod. I love the screws. They have little washers on them. They're, sometimes when you tighten a bow down, the feeling of that screw is like, I don't want to change this. I don't want to mess with it anymore. You're scared you're going to strip it. These you can take off, on, flip the disc. You can mess with them. They are as solid screws as you can get. There's 3 of them. I love the flip disc mod. That's my favorite feature on any bow across the board. I think, hunters, we have hunters who like comfort, hunters who like speed. If we're going to divide hunters down the middle, I would say that's one of the biggest factors in a hunter and what they buy and what bows they prefer. Bowtech kind of caters to both, so you get about 7 to 10 different fluctuation on the feet per second by flipping that disc from performance to comfort. I found that the little bit of feet per second you gain, I always mostly like the comfort mode of all the bows. I think the Solution SS I shot and took into the field on the performance side, and man, it was a great performing bow. Most of them though, I just keep on the comfort side, really nice and smooth, and it's plenty fast for what I'm trying to do with it. So last thing is, their deadlock tuning, which is right here on top and bottom. You got a lock bolt that you undo, and then you can tune right, tune left, whatever you do to the top, make sure you do to the bottom. So if, just be careful, like quarter increments, half turn increments. Just make sure and be mindful of what you're doing to kind of do to both. I cannot decide for the life of me whether I like Elite's tuning system or the deadlock tuning system from Bowtech better. I kind of keep going back and forth. I thought with the Omnia, man, that was so easy to tune. And I kind of had my mind made up that I like this one better. And then again, I messed with this Carbon 1 and it's just as easy. So very different, where the deadlock is, what you're doing is moving the cam. And for the Elites, what you're doing is taking and relieving pressure from limbs. So it's a very unique system into themselves, but they're both very simple to use, and I love that they come built into the bow. So we'll do our single side assessment in here, and then we'll go outside, we'll do our freestyle shoot, and then we'll get the speed. And when we do the speed, when we run it through the chronograph, we'll do both sides, performance and comfort, so you can kind of see both. These bows only come in color options, so I think there's 4 color options. You can't get them in camo. That's fine for me because I love solid colors. So it comes standard on the comfort side. So we'll go ahead and sling some on the comfort side first. So it has some substance to it. You know, I think that's going to be good though, because I like a little bit of substance to my bow. This is light enough, but all right, so we got a couple. We'll do a couple on the comfort side, and then we'll actually switch it over and we'll do a kind of a, you know, an assessment of the performance side, because usually they're very noticeably different. They're not crazy different, but they're definitely noticeably different. So. Oh man, again, I don't know how Bowtech does it. Every bow, smooth draw. This is a little stiffer than, let's say, the Solution SS, maybe comparable to the comfort side of the SR350, but it's smooth. The transition is so smooth. You can't get bows that transition better. All the way into that back wall, you know, going over what usually is a little hump towards the end, it just flows right backwards. I love the, you know, they got these string stops on here that you can adjust. You know, it has the same number system as it does on the disc on the other side, on the cam on the other side. And you just kind of, it's really easy. You just place them to your draw length and they're just really nice and solid. And kind of once you hit them, you know, I'm always anticipating a little hump towards the end, and then all of a sudden you're just at your back wall. So they just flow right back. It's such an easy, pull. I think maybe because a little bit of the weight of the bow, there's almost no vibration in the hand. For a carbon bow, I feel like that's really, really good. And then the balancing of the bow is nice too. So it has a nice, you know, once you get set up, you know, it has a little bit, you know, a little bit to it, but it's not bad. And I think this one's going to be one of the next bows I put into the field. And I'm saying that before we even do our freestyle shoot. But I love this. I think the draw, the uniqueness of the riser, man, I think they've just done a great job. Like I mentioned earlier, I think they're doing, you know, what it's taken some companies, you know, years and years and years to do. This is the first really, really high-end carbon that they've come out with. And when I mean high-end, it's up there. It's $1,800 after taxes. But I'd say it's worth every penny. Worth every penny. Probably my favorite carbon from the year, and that says a lot because I am in love with the RX-7 by Hoyt. I got a doe, 4 coyotes with it this year. The RX-7 is an absolute hammer. I think I prefer this over that. One more and then we'll flip it. Yeah, little bitty kickback in the hand, but not bad for a carbon. It feels really, really nice. And it's always hard to tell inside if it's hitting the bag or if it's the bow. So when we step outside, that's when you can kind of really tell if the bow has, you know, a nice little pop to it and how clean that shot cycle is. And then also the little bit of instability that I'm kind of sensing in here, we'll be able to see kind of once we get up to that elk, how that plays out a little bit better too. So let me switch those discs and we'll give you an assessment of the performance side. So it's super easy to change. You take your 3 bolts out, you line up that little rod on the flip disc with whatever draw length you're at, and there you go. It's just a nice, easy little system. So we'll switch over to the performance side, and we'll give you that same kind of assessment. Like I mentioned, they're always very different. It's not so drastic, but it's just it's very noticeable. So very smooth. but there is a nice big hump at the end. And then again, a very, you know, really nice transition, even with that extra pull. So it's just a little stiffer. And I would say this is probably less noticeable than some of the other Bowtechs that I review. It's very similar. You just got to put a little bit more effort into it, but the draw cycle is very, very similar. Very smooth front to back, just a little bit of extra pull at the end. Again, when we do the speed test, I think if this bow would have to be 10 to 12, you know, on the performance side, 10 to 12 feet per second faster for me to use this, and that's just with one shot, than the Comfort. The Comfort is just so smooth and so effortless. Again, when you're in a tight spot or when you're in a tree stand in very, very awkward positions, which I find myself in all the time, I want something that's effortless to pull back. Yeah, you just have a nice, good hump right there at the end. But man, I mean, I think just from the shot cycle, I would say this is probably a good 10 feet per second, solid 10 feet per second faster on this side of the mod. So let's shoot one more and then we'll go outside. And I'll shoot outside with both. We'll do the Comfort setting, we'll do the performance side of the mod. We'll do our freestyle shoot. We'll shoot a whole bunch with both sides. And then we'll come back in and we'll do the speed test on both sides as well and kind of give you feedback from both. But very similar, very smooth. Just a lot more effort goes into that performance side. Let's step outside. All right, so on to the freestyle shoot, and a little clarification. The freestyle shoot, you know, what we're filming here and what you get on film is the first shot. So, you know, it's how easily can you pick up a bow. You know, we go from our talking point straight outside. The first 10 shots that we place are the ones that you're gonna get. We don't go back, we don't edit, we don't warm up. So somebody commented, you're not very consistent with your shooting. One, you got to know what we're shooting at. So I'm a hunter. I'm not a 3D shooter. I don't even know how it's all scored, and I could care less. I shoot on real, you know, hunting targets, so I can place kill shots. We usually go for a heart shot, then a double lung shot. If I'm going to shoot a single shot on a critter, it's going to be a center mass shot. But I'm not trying to group anything. The first and second shot on the same critter usually aren't placed in the same spot. But these are the first shots that we're taking with a bow at different depths, and that's kind of what we're giving you, unedited. You know, we shoot the bow as well as we do. So we'll go bore and buck. So these are 30 and 35. And man, it's quiet. So for a carbon bow, it's real quiet. A little bitty snap. That's it. And I didn't know if it was the bag in there. Sometimes being in a closed-in room, shooting on that bag, I can't tell if it's the bag or the bow, but this is nice and quiet. Let's go buck. Put one on the other buck while we're over here. I love shooting from up here. We got a box underneath us, kind of assimilates that tree stand. Downward angle shots. It's just nice and easy. I can work in the shop, come out here, sling some arrows, go back to work. But man, so in my eyes, 3 kill shots, 3 shots, that's kind of what we're going for. Man, I'm gonna be able to shoot this thing all day. It's a breeze. Let's jump over there and we'll shoot some longer range shots. So now we got a ton of different targets. Turkey, coyote, deer, the gray wolf, mama bear. We can shoot at the boar quartering away, both bucks, up on top of the hill, the elk, going from 20 out to 50. So when we do our, you know, turn off the camera and shoot a little bit more before the grade, the speed test, that kind of stuff, we'll shoot from over here most of the day. Let's go ahead. We'll start right here. We got the coyote. Man, I love drawing Bowtechs. I love doing these reviews on them just because I can shoot them so much. And I feel like the more I shoot a bow, and that's another thing, the shots that you get are the first one. So throughout a day, progressively, as you would hope, I get better and better and better. So we'll run this ladder of 3D targets multiple times today. And by the last time I'm shooting, I'm more comfortable, more familiar with the bow. Everything is better placed, you know, but I like to give you the first shots. Maybe one day we'll do a before and after. We'll shoot in the morning, give you those first shots, and then we'll give you some shots in the afternoon after we've been shooting a bow, you know, 150, 200 times. So let's go broadhead butt. You know, that's the exact same spot I shot that buck last week. I slipped it in. His front foot, or his foot closest to me, was forward. His head was up, and I slipped that thing in right behind that femur bone, and it went right into his heart. So again, you kind of gotta, before you judge, you gotta understand what we're trying to shoot and what kind of, you know, who's shooting. I'm shooting for kill shots all day. I don't step out here and sling an arrow unless I'm, you know, trying to place a really well-placed kill shot on one of these critters. So let's go gray wolf. And as you get out to 40, 45, 50, this is kind of where you can see some of that instability that I was kind of sensing inside. So at full draw, wants to teeter a little bit on you. Not as rock solid as some of the other bows that we've seen, but you really can't tell until you get a little farther out. I tell you what, the wind doesn't help either. We go through some full metal jackets. One of these days, Easton's is gonna start sending me some arrows. They're getting expensive. So we'll go hard shot on the gray wolf. Then we'll come back at it. Man, little bit of instability, and sometimes I'll try to shoot a quick shot and kind of see how fast I can dial it down. But again, these are the first shots. If I shot this thing all day, all week, before I go into the field with it next week, we'll shoot a bunch. That'll probably go away. So the more familiar you get with the bow, some of those things that first stand out to you, you know, might go away with lots of reps and practice. So remember that too. You know, something that might be really, really noticeable the first time you pick up a bow might not be as noticeable, you know, after the 100th rep. So don't, you know, I think those initial shots are good, but don't base everything or your purchase off of those. So one of my favorite parts of these reviews, we just started doing it on film. We've been doing it for forever, but full draw stall. So we'll shoot one of the mama bear, then I'll hold it in full draw for 1 minute, and we'll try to place a well-placed shot on that little black bear. And if you want to be able to tell the stability of a bow, that's the test. You know, and we all know sometimes that big buck is about to step out of that tree, you draw back, and for some reason he doesn't. And he sits behind that tree for a minute, 2 minutes, sometimes it feels like 10 minutes. But you don't want to let down and spook him. You got to hold it. And then once he finally does step out, fatigued, how well are you able to place a shot? So that's kind of what the shot is kind of comparison to, but let's go black bear. So if you're a hunter and you know the anatomy of animals, you can kill shots all day, all of them. None of these critters are making it very far. You know, so I don't know his name. Whoever made that last comment about my shooting and why would I purchase all these thousands of dollars worth of bows if I can't shoot any of them? I'm not gonna say what I wanna say, but watch a different channel, you know. Let's do the full draw stall. We'll go a minute and then we'll shoot a shot on that little black bear. Minute's not nearly as bad as Try to do 2 minutes if you really want to tell if a bow, you know, has a nice solid back wall and how jumpy it is. This one's nice. I would say this one wants to get forward on you a little bit more than some of the other Bowtechs that we've seen, but still not gas to hold it. You know, I don't ever want to place a shot after holding the bow for that long on an animal. It's not ideal, but it happens sometimes. So let's set up for the elk. So I can't make the statement, this is my favorite carbon of 2022. I guess this is kind of the bow for 23, but we still got one more carbon to review from Elite, and I think they're going to put out something special. So, but I'd say this is my favorite one today. It is an unbelievable cross between, you know, just every other aluminum machined riser bow and a carbon. It's a little bit on the heavier side, but it's rock solid. The quality and durability of this is exceptional. These limb pockets are probably some of the sturdiest I've seen. You got these double bridges on each part of the cam instead of just one. Every part of this thing is as solid as you can get. You're definitely getting your money's worth, you know, so if you want to make an investment, I think it would be a good one. First flagship carbon bow by Bowtech. I think they've just done it again. All year they've been doing it. Man, it's impressive. All right, let's get up there to that elk, which is at 50. We'll shoot a whole bunch on him on film, and then we'll shoot a whole bunch more once the camera's shut off. I'm out of them. Nope, I got a couple extra here. We'll shoot one more. I think I can shoot this thing all day. So again, if you're looking to, you know, for me, I think that goes in a lot into my deciding factor of what I'm going to, you know, take into the field is how much work am I going to be able to put in with it. And I like shooting, so I get out here a lot. But I think it's important to kind of get a ton of reps in practice. You know, it doesn't matter what you're shooting with. I say it all the time. You got to practice. You got to put in the effort. With the arrow setup you decide to go with, and whatever bow you're going to finally take into the field, the amount of reps that I feel like you need to put in with that bow before you get out into the field and what you owe to the animal is a lot. You know, a lot more than I think the average person thinks. So, you know, I think you want something that's shootable, you know, effortless, and I think that's Bowtech. Every bow from Bowtech just seems to be just effortless, fun to shoot, and you feel like you can just shoot them all day. So. Let's go do that speed test, which I'm excited about. We'll do both sides of that disc, and then we'll sit down and give it a grade. All right, so now the speed test. We got both arrows, which we've been using, I think maybe for the past couple reviews, requests from you guys just to see a little bit of a variance. We have a 300 grain, or 300 spine and a 400 spine full metal jacket. The 300 spine's 500 grains, which is the one we've done all of the reviews on, you know, the test with, and then we have a 440 grain, 400 spine full metal jacket. And we'll do both, and we'll do both on both sides of the mod. So right now we finished outside with the freestyle shoot in the performance setting. So we'll just start with this. I switched it back to 29 and a half, 70 pounds, right under 70 pounds, and then 500 grain arrow, okay? That's 293. Man, so 293, I'm gonna go ahead and say when we switch it over to the comfort side, it's going to be maybe high 270s, 280s, but I think we'll get that good 10 pounds or 10 feet per second more. That's 286. Let's do one more. Then we'll shoot that lighter grain arrow, which I would say the 440 grain arrow is probably 60 to 70% of what hunters use. I think I'm on the little bit on the heavier side with 500 grain. Some guys shoot over 500 grain. So that's 279. Okay, because it jumped, I'm gonna shoot one more. It's 294. So I'm going to say right around 290. Let's go ahead and shoot a couple with the lighter arrow. And then we'll flip those discs and we'll do it all over again on the comfort side. That's 300. Shoot one more. That's 310. I'm gonna shoot one more. That's 307. So man, that's a nice fast arrow, good hunting arrow. Let me switch these mods to the comfort side, and we'll shoot a couple more through there. All right, disc flipped. Let's see, and they say 7 to 10 pounds, difference, but we'll see. So that's 278. So that's, again, to me that's perfect, right around 280. The difference, every time I flip these discs, the difference in that draw cycle, to me, it's a no-brainer. I would use the comfort side. It is just so smooth, so effortless. 280 with a 500 grain arrow, you can't beat it. 279. Okay, so right there at 280. Let's go ahead and shoot this 440 grain. And we'll see if, this was right around, say 300, 305 with the performance side. That's 290, so they're right on. It's about a 10-pound difference. With the, 10 to 12 pound difference, I'd say. So with each arrow, we kind of saw, a 10-pound fluctuation. I'm sorry. With each arrow, we saw a 10 feet per second difference, 10 to 12. So with the lighter grain arrow, it's more like 12. With the heavier grain arrow, it's more like 10. 299. So, again, I'm not, let's shoot one more with that lighter grain arrow. So a duplicate 299, and that's awesome. So, and again, it's just having the option is the cool part. Having the option to be able to bump up those feet per second without having to change really anything. You like shooting 70 pounds, you like shooting 60 pounds, whatever it is. A lot of people would draw that performance side and not think twice about it. It's nice and smooth still, just a little bit heavier pull, and you get a little bit faster arrow. I love it. I think it's one of the coolest features, like I said earlier, on any bow. Personal preference, I'd go comfort setting. I'd still shoot with my 500 grain arrow, getting about 280 feet per second. To me, that's perfection. All right, Bowtech Carbon 1. Before we get started on the grade, since we're entering a new year, so these are gonna be all the next bows are gonna be all for 23, we tweaked our grading system a little bit, and obviously after doing it for over a year, we realized that we kind of could have done things a little bit better here and there, and you kind of live and you learn and you kind of grow, and we'll make adjustments to give you the most accurate grade. So two things that we did: the speed test. 300 is 10 out of 10, over 300. 290 to 299, 9 out of 10, 289, or 280 to 289, 8 out of 10, and so forth all the way down, okay? That's how we're gonna end up doing the speed. I think that's important. And I kind of, the first round, anything between 250 and 280 is great. Anything, we just kind of rewarded everything above. But we're gonna kind of take off more and more and more for how low they get. So this would just be in the 290s on the performance side. So again, we're gonna do all the same specs, everything. We'll keep it all the same. What we will do, I shot more bows at 30 inches than 29 and a half, so we're just gonna switch it to a 30-inch draw length, 70 pounds, 85% let off if that's if that's possible, which that really doesn't make too big of a difference with that 500 grain arrow. And that's gonna be our new setup for the speed test. And I think I said 29 and a half earlier, but I actually had it on 30. So this will get a 9 out of 10 to start off. Quality, durability, 10 out of 10, absolutely. Probably one of the most solid bows I've had my hand on this year, top to bottom. I mean, you can't get more solid than this. You can take this thing anywhere, do anything with it, and man, I bet you it'd perform. So, appeal, 9 out of 10. I love the new riser design. I think that they did something different. I like different. I like people trying to stand out. I just love Bowtech bows, how they look, perform, everything. So, 9 out of 10 there. Technology, 10 out of 10 out of the box. You don't need anything else. This thing is just, this system, the deadlock system, so easy to tune. If you're new to bow hunting and you know yourself and you know you're a hands-on person, go with an either Elite or a Bowtech, something that has one of these self-tuning systems. They're just so fun and easy to work with. You can do it all yourself. I love it. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to take any, shims, axles, none of that out. You don't have to take the cams off, nothing. The easiest thing to do and the easiest thing to just learn, and kind of the more you mess with it, the better you get. Last thing, performance. 9 out of 10. I would sense a little bit of instability at full draw, but it held nice. I love the string stops on these. I think it has a really nice solid back wall. I shot really well with it right from the beginning. I mean, some bows you pick up and you can just shoot with. Other bows, it might take a second. It really doesn't, mean too much. You practice with anything a whole bunch, it gets more familiar, you get more comfortable, you make tweaks, and you kind of can anticipate things, and you just become better and better and better the more reps you get. So whatever you're shooting, just shoot it a bunch. I think that's the main lesson always, is just practice, 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 practice. But I shot with this really, really well right from the beginning. I'm gonna take it in the field next week. I got a couple more doe tags to fill. I might purchase an Illinois tag if I can get over there and get a big one on camera, but we will see. We will see. Got a lot of season left. This is definitely gonna find its way in there. So last thing that we change is the makeup points that you get for the price. We're just gonna tack it on after we multiply by 2. So at 47 out of 50, we're gonna go ahead and give it a 94 out of 100, and it gets to make up now 1 point instead of before it was kind of actually making up 2 because we multiplied. So 95 out of 100, great score for this first carbon by Bowtech. Absolutely love it. Love what they're doing, love them as a company. Keep it up. I just can't wait to see more and more and more and more. The solution, the SS34 and the CP30, I probably won't even shoot. I can anticipate what they're already gonna be. That's just not a review I think I'm gonna dive into, but maybe some of the next ones. So follow us on YouTube if you found anything helpful in this video, especially if you're watching these and you can kind of help make a decision in your bow buying process. Please subscribe to the channel. We got plenty more to come, as well as our basic bowman videos that are gonna drop here soon in case you or a friend want to buy a bow, interested in bow hunting, don't know where to start, don't know what to do, don't know what to get. It will walk you through the whole process. I think you're really gonna enjoy those. And then follow us on Instagram for all of the new bows, accessories, anything that we're gonna review next. It'll kind of update you on all of that. Above all, get your reps in on the daily, even when it's frigid outside like it was today. We'll see you next Saturday.